Hello and welcome to the Career Booster podcast. Today I'm talking to Jessica Morari, and she is a career coach specialized in expats, and she's living in Dubai. So
Okay.
super exciting that you're here.
Yeah, I'm very excited too because we've been looking at each other for a while for now. So I'm very happy that we could have a peer-to-peer conversation tonight.
Yes, and I feel like we're like in a little bit of a similar position because you focusing on expats coming to Dubai. And my niche is, of course, women who've experienced a burnout, but it's actually all international women. So also kind of expats living in the Netherlands. Yeah, so I think we have like some similarities. So that's why it's nice to be able to discuss on all these topics that expats experience.
Yeah, I think there's a lot in common on the
Mm.
things that we do, and probably many of the clients that we've worked on, and many of the cases that we are going to discuss. It's going to have some commonalities between the two of you, even if we work with slightly different niches.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I was quite curious with your experience. Like, what do you feel like expats struggle with the most? You know, when they're looking for a new career in a new country.
So especially if it comes to women, and when you're an expert, you change the place, sometimes you change the role, you change the market. There's so much going on so many different levels, like life, your relationship, your identity too,
Mm.
that we have so many things going on that sometimes it's very hard to juggling whatever it's on your plate. And of course, the professional part plays such a big role in our lives that transitioning from one place to another and doing this kind of breaking up with what I used to be and what I used to have in the country or in the previous country. And now I have to let it go and I have to become this new version. I have to take on new habits. I have to develop new routines. I have to develop new networks. So it's a lot going on, and sometimes it can be very very overwhelming. So the fact that you've done it once, you've done it twice, maybe you've done it many times, it doesn't make it easier. And I don't know if you have the same, but I experience it with many clients of mine. I have people that have been living abroad since ever, like they're third culture kids, sorry. So they've born with this, and yet when we have conversation, they have exactly the same struggles
Mm.
as first time experts. I don't know if you've ever had the
Yeah.
same.
So the women coming to the Netherlands, what they struggle with the most is Dutch. I mean, Dutch is a very difficult language to learn. Um, Also, the culture, it's different. It's here, it's quite harsh, very direct compared to different countries. And yeah, the people, the culture, and making new friends. I mean, especially at like our age, everybody has their friends, their family. Everybody's busy. Um, Usually through school, that's when it really starts. You know, when your kids, when you or start getting having kids, then that's usually a big game changer because then they go to school, they want to play with their friends at their friend's house, and then you'll go to the mom, have a cup of coffee at her house or a glass of wine, and then you start making friends. But it takes time.
Oh yeah, definitely. I have to say, to be honest, that so I'm originally from Italy, from Milan, and I moved to Spain during my master degree, like for my master degree, and then I ended up in Spain for one reason or another for 7 years. And then I moved to Dubai in October 2022. It was, and I have to say that the experience that I had in Spain and here in Dubai is completely different on
Mm.
so many aspects. I'm also in a different stage of life that I used to be back then, for age, for the career point, the type of job that I wanted. And also, of course, my personal life was also very different, like relationship. But it's really, really different. Also, the culture. So when I came to Dubai, I really expected to have to really work hard to create my networking. I
Mm.
thought, okay, this is going to be hard. Dubai is a very fast-paced city. People are here for not short time, but they're here in a kind of cycle, right? Because they come, they want to grow. It's a more of a professional phase that you go through, and then they leave. So the type of relationship are going to be more superficial, going to be more hard to create deep connection. And gosh, I was so wrong. I
Mm.
laugh at myself if I think about it now,
Oh,
because
wow.
it completely wrong, honestly. I've never seen a place with so many events, with so much connection between people. Maybe because of the fact that here everybody is kind of an expert. So you are more willing to put yourself out there and to create these new bonds because you know that everybody is experiencing the same thing that you do. And this really has a huge impact on the professional sphere too. Like there's a lot of hidden job market that really comes through recommendations and connections,
Mm.
which I wasn't really prepared for. I mean, I kind of knew about it, kind of. I had this idea, but I hadn't experienced it till I came here. So it really gives you a completely different perspective, like how Spain or Europe in general works and how here is completely focused. I've never worked in the Netherlands, but the two dearest friend of mine, one is from the Netherlands and the one is she's Italian, but she's been living there for years. And the type of feedback that I receive from them, it's completely different from what I experience here.
Interesting. But what do you mean with in the network, like getting certain jobs? Do you feel like that through the people you know, that they link you to certain jobs? They tell you about, oh, you have to go there, or I know someone's looking for something there. Like you need to know the right people.
Yes, absolutely.
Mm.
There's a lot of circles and there's a lot of communities and there's a lot of referral culture. So sometimes many job opportunities don't even come out because they are already covered before they even come out, you
Mm.
know? So it's something that I hadn't experienced before, which is very interesting on a cultural perspective and really makes you think about the networking thing on a different level.
So, what I tell my clients to do in Holland, for example, is indeed look at their network, see who they know, and if they're working in interesting positions, then contact them. But if they don't know anyone, which is a lot of times the case, then just look for people working at interesting companies in interesting positions and just reach out to them also for a coffee date. And yes, there are going to be people who are going to not reply and not be interested. But honestly, there are actually a lot of people who out there who do want to help. And they have actually gotten job interviews through those coffee dates.
Yeah,
So that
absolutely.
even works without really knowing the person before.
But what you say is brilliant because one of the things that I learned here in Dubai that I'm trying to convey and also to spread out there, even to clients that I have outside of the UA, is this we're afraid, or at least I used to be afraid of the people that was around. There's this shame of asking for help and this kind of, I don't know what they're going to think. This is very unusual. Nobody will care about me. Why they would put a word in for me. And here it's so common and it's so, yeah, it's part of the culture. So you really don't think it's weird. And I think it's one of the most important thing that you really have to work on when you, especially when you want to start a new career, you're a career changer, or you want to change country. It's super important what you said about creating and exploiting your network in a healthy way. But connect, talk to people, put yourself out there because there are people that are going to ignore you, but there are a lot of people that are there to help you. So this is just easy to do because it's free and you can really get out of a simple conversation so much value.
You know what I think maybe one of the biggest problems or obstacles is, with a lot of women that I also speak to, and I think that is that they already think it's not going to happen. They already think it's going to be a no. They already think they're not even going to try because it's probably not going to happen anyway. I think so many of us, and that's what we'll talk later about, the work on your mindset. But I think so many of us already have so many limiting beliefs. We already think things are just not going to work out. Not for me, for her maybe, but for me, it's not going to work out. So why would I even try? Sometimes I actually really have to, um, how do you call it? Like persuade, to just try and just give it a try. I mean, if it doesn't work, then then at least you tried. But just try it, and also not just after sending one message. Oh, you didn't reply. Oh well, then I'm not going to send any more messages. Don't be so stubborn. Just try
No,
again, and then
good.
all of a sudden somebody's going to be, hey, so cool that you're messaging me. Come, let's have coffee.
Like one of the things, one of the most awkward thing that I did when I came to Dubai, like awkward at the time. Now I'm super happy that I did it. Was to join a community of women. Okay, so this
Mhm.
community has different events per month, and the events are not professionally related, and it's not networking 100%. It's very there's a variety of things that we do during these events, but after one of the first event that I went, I just started to reach out to people that attended the event, say, it was really nice to see you. Thank you for the chat. I really love this and that. So I kept in my mind a few things that I connected with that person. I don't know if I like the laugh or if I enjoyed the conversation or if I find it inspiring. And I reached out to them. And honestly, some of them were didn't really evolve into something more, and that
Mhm.
was fine. I survived, and that was for me such a okay, that was done. I did it, and it's okay. It doesn't have to evolve into your best friend, every time, and not out of every conversation you're going to get a job opportunity or a professional collaboration. But the more you put yourself out there, the more you're going to get easier and the more willing you're going to do it. It becomes natural. And yeah, I totally agree with you. Push them, keep push them.
And also just by doing that, you feel so proud of yourself, even though nothing came out of it or whatever. You went out there, you approached someone, you sent them a message. You feel fulfilled by the end of the day because you did something that scared you. You did something that's maybe uncomfortable. You did something out of your comfort zone, but you did it.
Yeah, absolutely. The confidence that you get when you do what I call the action, the shock action. So do something that makes you uncomfortable, but that's going to make you strong. It's unbelievable, and the ripple effect that it has, it's magical.
It is. And I'm thinking about all these other things now, but I won't get into it. Like, but just quickly, even pushing yourself in CrossFit or doing some, what I find, it maybe sounds very crazy, but like I've had a phobia for driving a car. But since I've been doing the things, I feel like in other areas, like business wise, because you're confident in that area, then you are more confident in other areas because you are. So you don't, if you want to become more confident in life, you can also start by doing things in other areas that you find very scary. I know some people are scared of swimming or something, just like crazy things, but it really, if you're confident in that area, it's going to spread out. It's going to cause a ripple effect on the rest of your life.
Yeah, absolutely agree. It's crazy. It's absolutely
It is crazy, but it's fun. So another question I had for you is, do you feel, because with my clients, what happens a lot is that they, because of the burnout, they end up wanting to do something completely different in their career. They realize that their career is not fulfilling them anymore, and they want to explore completely different options. And I'm curious to know from you, with the expats, if when they come, if they are just going to roll back into the old type of job that they've always done. You know, they have the diplomas, they have the working knowledge, or they're like, you know what, I'm in a different country. I feel like I've become a different person because I've so gone out of my comfort zone by leaving my family, my friends behind, my whole life behind, starting a whole new life over. Maybe it's time for a completely. I'm a new me. I'm gonna like start a whole new career. Do you see that as well?
Yes, very much. I don't know. So I've started to coach after COVID, and I think that also helped a bit with this awakening society in general. I feel that there's been a before and after also in the professional world with the COVID situation. But I very often, like 80% of my clients are career changers, or they are thinking about a career change. And
Mm.
what you said about the identity and the new life, new me, it really hits, because I think that when you go through something so powerful as a migration to another place, it really affects also your self-esteem, and it really changes the way that you think. So it makes sense that you say, come on, I've been able to literally change my life, and I've moved from the place that's been my nest for X number of years. Now it's the time. Because you know, when you I think that when you become an expert, it really opens a new window on the world, and you see there are things that are possible for you that you didn't think that it was possible.
Mhm.
You feel more brave, you feel more confident, you feel like I can start again, let's say from scratches, but I have these capabilities and the skills and the resources inside of me to make it happen. And that's why I think it's so common to have career changers among experts, because we are adapting constantly to new cultures, new language, new people, new places, that it makes you feel kind of invincible. I don't want to sound bragging, but it makes you feel that you can do it because you've somehow already done it. And unfortunately, sometimes this career change is a bit forced.
Mm.
I see here in the UA a bit of this kind of situation. So, because of the type of society and the culture that there is here and the demand and job offer, sometimes people are forced to jump into fields or roles which are completely different from what they used to do. And that's a different kind of situation, because you're
Yes,
kind of, you know, pushed
forced.
into doing that. But seriously, 80% for me, it's a very high percentage when I say that my clients are mostly career changers, because there's this tendency to want more and to wake up and say, look, I've been doing this, but I'm not supposed to stay in something that it's not making me happy anymore, or it didn't make me happy before, but now I feel the strength of changing it. Um, do you have a lot of career changers among your clients?
Yes, most of them. And I think, and that's really also because of the burnout, that they're like, I want to avoid a second burnout at all costs, so I cannot do this. Of course, you can have a burnout for many different reasons, right? But the people that came to me up till now, they had a burnout because they just weren't passionate about their job. They didn't like their job. The job was draining them. It was making them unhappy. It was making them miserable. So they were like, I need to do something completely different. So a lot of them end up studying something completely different, to what they're doing now, even at a later age. And you know, it really is possible to. I mean, we like change is good, and I think, you know, we as people, we change all the time, so can make sense that you don't like the same things as you did 10 years ago. It's the same with relationships, with friendships, with things change, you know. So I don't think we should just expect that if we were a marketing manager 10 years ago that we should stay being a marketing manager now. Maybe we're much more creative. You know, I have a client who now going to study to become an interior designer. Like, that's something completely different. but so cool, that you dare to take that step and to go for it. And
But
that
do you
was
see, do you have any patterns, or do you have any common fields that experiences burnout and then they want to change, or like a certain age group that is more exposed to this kind of situation?
yeah, late 30s, late 30s, early 40s.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I guess kind of like midlife crisis also, maybe, that you it's also because of the burnout they start going on that personal development journey. And a lot of my clients, also people pleasers, find it very difficult to set boundaries and say no. So a lot of them, after the burnout, they do therapy, and in the therapy, a lot of people's behavior is very unconscious. So as soon as they start to become conscious of their behavior, they see that they've also done a lot of things for the outside world. So they had a job for status, security, and a good paycheck, because they want to belong to the tribe. They
Yeah.
want to make their parents proud. They want to belong to their friends. They want to be able to also at dinner parties be able to talk about their flashy job title and the amount of money they are earning and stuff like that. And then once they go on that personal development journey, then they're like, not that I'm saying that earning a lot of money is right, but sometimes for the wrong reasons, that they're miserable in a job, but at least their salary is good, so they'll stay in the job. That's, it would be better to do something that you're really passionate about and have a good paycheck. So then through doing all that work on themselves, they realize, okay, but I was really doing a lot for the outside world, for the painting the perfect picture of my life, of my career. And then they realize, okay, but this job was making me miserable, but now what? And that's then a very difficult position to be in, because they just have no clue what else to do. Some don't even really know what they're really good at. What are their good skills? They really have to think about that, and that's what we then really discover in the coaching. What truly gives you energy? What are you really good at? What really makes you happy in your career? What makes you feel fulfilled? Also, what I see a lot is that they want to do something more meaningful, like really give back to society. Like they're in a job, but they don't really see how it's affecting the world or other people in a positive way.
This is what you've just said about the meaningfulness.
Mm.
Makes me think like, so I have very different ages among my clients. So I'm lucky enough to see different perspectives and
Mhm.
to see through the eyes of different generations. But I have this, I saw this tendency in younger generations. They're really focused on that. Usually that comes up so often with people of like 20, 25, this age group,
Mhm.
um, which they are completely lost before starting the university or right after. And they're looking for something that it's meaningful. So I feel that there's a bit of a transition, and the look from, the focus has shifted so much in the past 5, 10 years that we're really trying to give back to the society. Every conversation that I have, every process, somehow this word comes up: meaningfulness. I want to do something meaningful. I want to have an impact. This is also very
Mm.
common right now. And I feel it's interesting to see, because then, okay, the next question that usually I throw at them, okay, so how do you want to do it? What's important for you? Because what's your core values? What
Mm.
matters to you? And we go silent. So we know that we want to do something, but we haven't discovered yet what that something means for us. So it's hard to put it into practice and bring it to reality, as you said, if we don't know what we want, how we want it. And so this whole discovery that we have through the coaching, the clarity and the awareness, it's it sounds like a cliche, but it's really the first step, because it really sets the foundation for everything that they're going to do in the second phase.
Well, I'm glad that your clients at such an age are doing these things and thinking about these things. Because honestly, at that age, I was really living very unconsciously. Like I didn't know who I was, what I wanted. I wasn't busy with any of these questions. The only thing that I was busy with was, oh, I don't like my job. And but yeah, this is what, I studied this, I rolled into this job, so that's just how it's going to be. It was only much later when I started to become very conscious of trying to figure out who I really am. So
Yeah.
it's quite cool to hear that these people are. I think we maybe people are becoming more mature earlier or something, or thinking about these things earlier. Because also the people I was around, I also felt like they were not really busy with any of these kind of things.
I mean, I think there's been a tendency, like more spotlight in general, also in the like in the social life and everything, with this mental health
Mm, yeah.
concern, and there's a bit more, still a lot of things to do, and still a lot of room for improvement on that sense too. But also in companies, we start to hear the word wellness, well-being, mental health. We don't have the same taboos that we used to have a decade ago. But I remember that therapy was really something that, oh my gosh, she's going to therapy,
Yes.
it was really something that had a negative connotation attached to it. And now it's becoming almost the other way around. It's like hyped. There's a hype
Everybody has a therapist.
around. Everybody has a therapist, everybody's in therapy, which is good. I mean, it's good that we started to talk about these things. So I think there's a more conscious, we're more conscious, so becoming a bit more conscious as a society, and we're taking very tiny steps toward that
Mhm.
direction.
Yeah, it's really good. And why do you think a lot of women don't make change in their career and stay stuck in their career, even though they are miserable, even though it's burning them out, even though they're unhappy? Why do you think they stay?
I think it's very much connected with the reason why women tend to succeed less than men, which is a very powerful statement. I'm going to explain you right now. Yeah, because as I was saying, I'm like, oh my god, I'm going to piss off so many people. Um, So I think that there's this bubble around women, from the society, from the famous and the very well known imposter syndrome. It's there. It's a real thing, and it's undeniable. The women have much more rather than men. I read a book 2 3 years ago. I don't recall the title right now, but it was an amazing book about imposter syndrome, from two
Mm.
French ladies, and they were really explaining where does it come from, what's the reason behind, why do women suffer from imposter syndrome more than men. And one thing that really impacted me was the percentage. So it was basically saying 80% of men apply to jobs even if they don't match half of the requirements. Let's say 80% of women don't apply to jobs even if they match 100% of the requirements. So there's a tendency, of course this is generalized, but this
Mm.
is studies that have been done that certifies that women tend to overestimate themselves, and that's been done since ever, and it's taken a lot of time to be changed. It takes a lot of effort, and it's not that easy because it's like in our DNA. We've been raised like that. We've been bombarded with information that tell us this. And there's also, I think, yeah, society expectation also plays a big role in that. In general, there's a lot of stereotypes around changing careers and about certain careers. So sometimes female professional feel more less confident in taking the step rather than men. But from what I saw, I mean, I both work with men and women, to be fair. But all the women that I had that were doing changes in the career, they've done great. So we're raising the percentage.
Yeah, so I had like a what do you call it, a sales connection call with a lady the other day, and she was also saying that yeah, she feels too bad throwing all her diplomas away. So she's like, I've studied so hard for this. I've got so much working experience. If I now go do something completely different, then this will just be a whole waste
Yeah.
of my time, which is not true because it's a new chapter, and you like, you know, you have your transferable skills. um it doesn't matter because there's so, what if you find something else that's so much more fulfilling and is going to make you so much more happier, you know, that's so much more important than the diplomas.
Yeah. But there is this fear of letting things go and say, I've
Mm.
done up to here. Does it make sense? And my question is always, okay, so you've been spent, I don't know, you spent 7 years of your life building this, and now you want to be stuck for the next 27 just because you don't want to waste 7 years? Does it make sense? And then the question usually brings out something. So there's a shift, but it's really what you say. Leaving things behind is not easy, and sometimes we that leap of faith that we have to do when we do such a change can be scary.
Yeah, and that's also, you know, fear of failure, fear of the unknown, fear of getting out the comfort zone, fear of what the friends are going to say or the parents are going to say when you do something completely different. I mean, for me, it was also when I started my coaching business, I was also very worried what people would think of it, thinking back of it. So I understand because
Yeah, but
we want to belong to the tribe, you know, like in the olden days, if you weren't accepted, then you would literally die. If And now
exactly.
it's not like that, but we still really want the acceptance of everybody else. So I also really had to learn to focus more on what I want and really have that crystal clear and have a crystal clear goal. And then everything else, it doesn't matter because I'm focusing on this goal and of one I want, and I'm 100% sure that I really want this.
You know what's
That's
funny?
mindset shift.
You're talking about your experience and your transition into coaching, and while you were saying that, I'm thinking, oh my god, this is me too.
Mm.
So in my case, I was not concerned about my family or my friends, but I was concerned about the rest of the world, which is very uncommon for me. So it was very unsettling because I'm like, okay, all of a sudden I kind of care about what people think. But
So
what I
people you didn't
found,
know?
sorry,
People you didn't know, or you mean like old colleagues and stuff? Because I also had that with like old colleagues or things like that,
no,
but not
I
with
kind
people I
of,
don't
I
know.
didn't care about that. I wasn't concerned at all, actually,
Mm.
because they knew me, so they kind of understood what was that kind of evolution, how what I had done until that moment related to this and to my personality. But I found myself and I observed this and I was like, oh my god, because when I started to say, so usually when you meet people and like, what do you do for a living, and I'm like, I'm a coach. I'm a coach. And they're like, what? Like,
Yes.
like, coach of what? And I'm, stuff. And I was feeling so uncomfortable with saying it out loud. And I'm like, oh my God, this is what, like, probably the best thing that happened to me, like professionally talking. And I'm ashamed of saying it out loud because I'm afraid that people will think that I'm a bluff, that, who do you think you are to help other people of doing this? And I realized that I had to sit down with myself and walk the talk of the coaching with this. But yeah, I understand that feeling of fear of rejection that you have when you transition from one world to another one.
Yeah, and this comes actually to my next question, and that's really mindset. Maybe what do you do with your clients to work on the mindset, and why do you think mindset work is so important? I mean, honestly, I before coaching, I didn't realize how much there is about mindset and mindset work, and how important it is also for running a business, but also for getting the job you want to get, and for just life, like just working on the mindset. It was like a whole new world opening up for me.
Absolutely. But like you, I think I never thought about the word mindset. I mean, it was something there, but I never paid attention to it. And I remember that the first time that I talked about it with my coach, I'm like, oh my God, he's getting into the flower power thing of the mindset. And I'm like, oh my God. And I really think that's one of the things that really determines if you're gonna make it or not. I'm not saying it's just the mindset, because of course, if there's no action, you're not gonna make it happen anyway. But the mindset is like the foundation for what you're gonna do. Yeah, I absolutely work on the mindset for my clients, and the shift that really make things happen. Sometimes it's very sudden. Sometimes it's more like a digestion. But it makes a difference. You can really see from the beginning of the process until the end of the process, the transformation and the change of the way they talk, the way they even project themselves when they talk to you. And we've talked about fear, about the changes and everything. And there's an exercise that I love so much. And it's very simple, but like literally three columns, and you write down on the first column all the fears that you have, like fear of changing the job. My fear is being out of the job, not finding a job, being rejected until the end of eternity. And then on the second column, what can I do to prevent that fear from becoming reality? And in the third column, okay, if it happens, what can I do? Who can I relate to? Because sometimes we have, so this exercise usually has to come out. Either you realize that you have no power over that fear, that you really can't control. So that's fine. Sometimes you realize that you have the resources to face in case it really happens. And then sometimes you just realize, okay, this is fluff. This is just in my head. And this is a story that what is that? The beliefs, the stories that I've been telling myself over and over again to justify my total lack of action.
It reminds me of that there's another exercise, something about what's in your control and what isn't out of your control. And what's in
Yeah,
your control you can change, or what's out of control you just have to kind of accept that.
absolutely. I mean, I can't control. And we did this exercise last week, because one of my clients, she's in a bit of a situation with the job, and she's like, I'm afraid I'm not going to be confirmed after my probation period. Okay, so let's do this. And in the end, she's not really scared about losing the job. There was a lot of other things going on, mindset things that a lot of going
Mm.
on that were hiding behind the I don't want to lose a job. But it's interesting to see how sometimes we make up things and we disguise things to make them look more acceptable for us. Because saying that I'm afraid of losing my job, of course, is socially acceptable, but maybe saying something else, it's not acceptable. So it's very very interesting and mindset. I it's mind blowing because this is wordplay. But yeah, it's really interesting.
And honestly, losing your job at the moment, it can feel like the worst thing ever. But when you look back at it, you a lot of times you're like, it actually was the best thing ever. Because I
Yes.
also got fired in my job, and when I like look back, I'm like, well, if that never happened, then this would have never happened, and then I would have never been here today if I didn't go through all that pain and misery and feeling depressed and feeling so lost and stuck in my life, I wouldn't be the coach that I can be now because now I can coach from experience and I know what they're going through and I know what I did to get over it. Otherwise, it would just be reading from a textbook. Okay, well, this is what you have to do. So, actually, your pain, you can use this as a tool later on in life.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was your butterfly effect. There's now this trend of the butterfly effect. No, so that painful experience has been the blooming of your new phase of life. But yes,
Yeah, and then the other thing I just quickly want to say is about the mindset and action. I think it really is a cause and effect. So if you have the negative thought or whatever thought you have, it causes an emotion, and your emotions eventually cause the action. So you need to have your mindset right, and then you will take the action. And I always say also, no one is born with confidence. So you first have courage, and then you just do the things with courage, not with confidence, and then eventually the confidence will grow and things will
yeah,
get so much easier.
yeah. It's absolutely true because there's a muscle that you need to train to become confident. Um, and it's this morning I had a session and we were discussing about confidence during the job hunt. Like, how do you stay confident when you get rejected? And sometimes the rejection goes
Mm,
on for some time,
yeah.
or you've experienced in the past, and you don't want to go back to that kind of negative thought. Oh, I'm not worth it.
Mm, yeah.
And I told her, like, there's the Olympics going on right now, and I can assure you that nothing, like even the gold medal, don't feel confident 100% of the times. And even when they won that gold medal, they might feel not confident because there's nothing really that can make you more confident from outside. There's no validation, there's no achievement, there's nothing that can do that work for you. It starts from inside. So I think it's very spread and it's a hard shift, probably the hardest one. But once you do the click here in your mind, you can really get to the next stage.
And like I said, it can be something in a different area in your life, like driving or doing something that you really find scary. And if you've overcome that you're like, whoa, you can bring it over to different areas in your life. So basically, they say every day do something that scares you, or just try to, whenever you have that funny feeling, then just do it. Can also be really like going up to people and starting a conversation if that's something you find scary, just to practice. Okay, I want to round off. I have two more questions, and that's regarding just some last piece of advice. So, what advice would you have for women who are listening right now, who are watching right now, and are thinking, yeah, I'm really feeling stuck in my career?
So the first thing is stop. because I feel that sometimes when we are in this kind of situation, the most common thing that we do is just we start doing it and doing and doing and doing. And it's like when you're stuck in the sand, the more you try to get out, the more you feel stuck because you don't know where you're going, you don't know what you're doing. So I think that sometimes we have this not pressure and need to get out of our negative unpleasant feelings, sorry, uncomfortable feelings, and we try to get out as fast as possible. But for experience and also from my personal experience, what I learned that when you stop and you let it sit and you start with a new perspective, it becomes clearer, it becomes more objective, the type of thing, and you become more able to listen to yourself and understand things that otherwise you wouldn't do it, and then do. So the first you sit, but then you start doing things because that really is the only way that you can make a change. Sometimes the change is very relatively simple. Sometimes the change requires more effort. But that's why we have career coaches, for example, like
Mhm.
us, that can really help you to, overcome that obstacles that you're finding or to get more clarity, to understand better what you want, to find out what's your strength, what you can really bring out, and then go to action. I strongly, I'm a huge dreamer, and a very strong doer too, which is very counter
Intuitive.
balancing. So I always say we have to act and think and act at the same time. So these things for me are extremely important. I don't know if you have something similar or if you have another method or approach in this kind of situations.
So when I was really feeling stuck, what I started doing, and this just came sort of on my path, sort of, I started doing yoga, meditation, reading personal development books, and I was in my late 20s. So, instead of, I was always busy. So, all my weekends were packed with doing things, social things with friends. Like, I could not sit home on a Friday. And I think that also led to me being so unclear because during the week
Hmm.
I was just working. And then the weekend I was just, with other people all the time. So, the whole time you get this um, you're influenced by other people's opinions, by what other people are doing. You never have time to think. So I started to not see people. And I remember people really saying, "Huh, you're not going out? It's Friday night. Like, what's going on with you?"
You
Um,
will go.
yeah, it was really, people were really like shocked. And I started to in the weekends, like on a Saturday, for example, go for long walks in nature. And then finally I could sort of start listening to my intuition, like things started to change just because I gave myself space
Yes.
to just be.
Be. Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's incredible because we are living constantly like, yeah, you said influence, but we are bombarded by inputs and ideas and pressure and constant thoughts that come from outside, and you really don't have time to listen what's inside. So I what you say about walking and doing things and just be on your own, because you are forced to listen to yourself, you are forced to tune in with your thoughts, and you might be surprised that it's something that you've never imagined.
It's so also how, it was also interesting how I discovered what I would want to do. It was, I also tell my clients, like, look, for example, around your house for clues. And also all my whole bookcase is full of self-development books and stuff. So I really had like that passion for self development and psychology and learning and growing and changing and mindset stuff, but I just wasn't really consciously
Yeah.
aware of it.
Yeah, it all makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, and then my last question. Any last piece of advice you have for expats who are moving to a new country and looking for a new career?
For sure, to research very well the destination, because we talked at the beginning about these career changes which are a bit forced. So the better prepared you are, the better you can face what's coming in your way, one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
So the research part, I think it's very important. And then, of course, the networking. We've talked about it at the
Yes.
beginning. I think that this part is still not very considered or not enough. Also in the personal life. But even before you touch base with the new country, you should already start working on your network. We have amazing tools right now. We have LinkedIn, for example, which is, I love the platform, and you really have the chance to connect with people. And it's very democratic, LinkedIn, because you can really connect with so different levels inside of an organization, and you
Mm.
can access to people that you usually wouldn't have access to. So use it, connect with people, be the weird one who sends connection with a request for a note, which people don't usually do, but we should do it. Um, and be bold about what we want to do. If we want to do something, we have to talk about it. Just don't do like me. I used to do at the beginning and say coach with a very small mouth. Say it out loud, make it happen. And if you need help, ask for help. Be that a family member, be that a former colleague, be that ask for a recommendation to get a better exposure. Put yourself out there, because at the end, nobody else is going to make it happen for you if you don't push for yourself.
And also even like and with the networking, also see who maybe that's also there. Like put maybe like on your Instagram stories or something. I'm moving to Dubai. Who's there? I mean, I already now thinking about it. I was just thinking I know already quite some people living there that moved there. So reach out to those people as well. Who knows that they can help
Yes,
you. These
absolutely.
days, everybody's living all over the place.
Exactly. We are becoming such a international war citizen, right?
Mm.
So it's more and more common to have experts around us, or to know somebody who knows somebody that's been there. And at the end of the day, it's a matter of exchanging informations, and who knows what comes out.
You never know. You never know if you don't try.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being here today. And thanks everyone for listening and for watching. And till next time.
Thank you, Chris.